The complete guide to surviving the apocalypse. We are living in a world where we are constantly on the brink of disaster. We have to watch the news, read the headlines, and even be aware of what is going on in our own neighborhoods. But what if something bigger than we can imagine happens? What if there was an apocalypse? This video explores what you need to survive an apocalypse and ensure a future for your family. What is an apocalypse, and how can we survive it? The word apocalypse is a Greek word meaning revelation. It is used to describe the end of the world, or the end of civilization. An apocalypse is a catastrophic event that changes all aspects of life as we know it, both physically and mentally. It can be caused by natural disasters such as an earthquake or tsunami, or it can happen through man-made events such as war. Try not panic in a crisis situation. A crisis is a time of intense difficulty, danger, or uncertainty in which normal rules don't apply. The best way to deal with a crisis is to keep calm and not panic. Panic can cause people to make rash decisions that might not be in their best interest. This will only worsen the situation. The first thing you should do when faced with a crisis is take a deep breath and think about what you are going to do next. Top 10 ways to survive on a post-apocalyptic Earth. The post-apocalyptic world is a strange place. It's full of danger and uncertainty, but if you know how to survive in it, it can be a pretty good time. These are the 10 best ways to survive on a post-apocalyptic Earth. 1. You have to be prepared before the apocalypse hits. The end of the world is near. You may not be sure what will happen or when it will happen, but it's a reality that we must prepare for. Whether it's an asteroid, nuclear war, pandemic, or zombie apocalypse, you need to know how to survive. 2. Make sure you have plenty of food and water. Food and water are the most important resources for survival. The body needs these items to maintain good health and function properly. Without proper nutrition and hydration, the body can deteriorate quickly. No one wants to think about an emergency situation. However, it is important to be prepared. One of the most important things you can do is stock up on survival food and water. If you are in an emergency situation and don't have access to food or water, your chance of survival will decrease substantially. This is why it's so important to have a supply of both items on hand at all times. 3. Use your senses to find out what's safe. The only way to find out if food is safe is to smell it, taste it, and touch it. 4. Keep your weapons close by. The world is a dangerous place. In the event of an emergency, it's important to be prepared. Have a first aid kit and a flashlight with fresh batteries in your car and home. Keep knives, pepper spray, or any other self-defense tools near your bed or on your person when you're out. 5. Find other survivors for safety in numbers. In the post-apocalyptic world, it's important to find other survivors for safety in numbers. The key to survival is building a community of trust and supporting one another. This will help not only survive the aftermath of an apocalyptic event, but also rebuild from its destruction. 6. Build a base camp or shelter in a safe area. Most people have seen the movie The Day After Tomorrow. In this movie, a storm hits the United States and there is a lot of snow. The storm causes a lot of power outages and people are stuck at home. The movie shows how people are waiting for help to come, but it never does. In this scenario, some people will be able to get to safety because they live in an area that is safe from the storm. But other people would not be so lucky and they would have to stay in their houses until help arrives. 7. Stay awake for as long as possible when night falls. With the world coming to an end, it can be hard to find time to get a good night's sleep. Fortunately, there are some steps you can take to stay awake when the sun goes down. Keeping your eyes as wide open as possible and staying in a brightly lit area helps you stay awake for longer periods of time so that you can prepare for whatever is to come next. 8. Figure out how to communicate with others if you're lost or alone. In a world where everything is controlled by technology, what would happen if it was all taken away? What if the power grid went down? We thought about the possibility of living in an apocalyptic world and what might happen when we're lost or alone. 9. Try not to panic when things get worse than they already are. When things are bad, they usually get worse, and when they get worse, they usually get even worse. This is the story of a time when things went from bad to worse, and then got even worse. 10. Keep your sense of humor about all this. When the world ends, it's important to have a sense of humor about it. If you're not careful, you'll end up in a nuclear fallout shelter with nothing but canned food and boredom for company. Humor, or at least a sense of humor, is an important part of our lives. It helps us to cope with the tragedies and hardships that we face in our day-to-day lives. In this section, we'll explore how humor is used to cope with the end of the world. Humor can be used as a coping mechanism in many situations. When people are faced with tragedy and hardship, they usually have a sense of humor about it. For example, when someone's house burns down, they might say, "Well, at least I don't have to clean it anymore." This type of humor is called gallows humor because it's often dark and macabre, but still funny.